In the quiet stillness of early dawn, a monastery rests beneath a soft, gray sky, and the air feels cool and gentle as it moves slowly through the stone walls and open courtyard, carrying with it a faint sense of calm. Somewhere in the distance, a low bell sounds, not loud, not sharp, but soft and steady, repeating at a slow and even rhythm, as if marking the passing of time in a peaceful and unhurried way. The ground is still, the world is quiet, and nothing asks for attention, nothing needs to change. And as this calm morning begins, you can simply listen, slowly, gently, without effort, allowing each small moment to pass in a soft and steady flow. So if you feel ready to rest, you can stay here and continue listening and let this quiet day unfold, one simple moment at a time, guiding you gently toward a deep and comfortable sleep. Chapter 1: The Quiet Beginning of the Day. The monk wakes slowly, not all at once, but in a soft and gradual way, as if the morning itself is gently unfolding around him. And for a few moments, he remains still, lying on the simple bed, feeling the quiet of the room, and the air is cool, slightly cold, carrying a faint scent of stone and wood. And nothing moves, nothing changes. Everything remains calm and steady. The light outside is still very soft, a pale gray that barely reaches into the small room. And as his eyes open, he does not rush to move. He simply looks at the ceiling above him, familiar and unchanged. And he breathes slowly, in and out, letting the quiet settle within him. After a while, he begins to sit up, moving carefully, his hands resting briefly on the edge of the bed, and his feet touch the cold stone floor, and the feeling is the same as every morning, slightly cool, slightly firm. And he pauses there, sitting quietly, allowing the moment to pass in its own slow way. He stands, slowly and without hurry, and reaches for his robe, lifting it gently and placing it over his shoulders, tying it in the same simple way he has done many times before. And each movement is small, steady, and repeated, requiring no thought, only the quiet continuation of a familiar routine. The room remains still, and the air does not change, and the soft light begins to grow just a little stronger, though it is still dim and gentle. And the monk walks toward the door, opening it slowly, and the sound is soft, almost unnoticed, blending into the silence that surrounds the monastery at this early hour. As he steps into the corridor, the stone beneath his feet feels cool and smooth, and the walls around him are quiet and still, holding the same calm that fills every part of this place. And the corridor stretches ahead, long and simple, lit only by the faint early light that enters through small openings. And this light rests softly against the stone, creating gentle shapes that do not move. He begins to walk, his steps slow and even, and the sound of his movement is quiet, a soft echo that fades almost as soon as it appears. And he does not hurry. He does not change his pace. He simply walks, one step after another, following the same path he has followed many times before. The air in the corridor feels slightly cooler than in his room, and it carries a faint sense of stillness, as if nothing has disturbed it for a long time. And as he moves, the light shifts slightly, becoming just a little brighter, though still soft and without sharpness. From somewhere far within the monastery, a bell begins to sound, low and steady, repeating in a slow rhythm, and the monk hears it without turning his head, without stopping, because the sound is expected. It belongs to the morning, just as the quiet and the cool air belong to it. And the bell continues, each tone fading gently before the next begins, and the rhythm remains calm and even. He continues walking, passing through the corridor, turning slowly at a corner, and entering another passage that feels the same stone, the same quiet, the same soft light. And nothing changes suddenly. Nothing interrupts the steady flow of the morning. Other monks move quietly in the distance, but their movement is slow and silent, almost like shadows, and they do not speak. They do not make any sudden sound, and the presence of others does not break the calm. It only adds to the quiet rhythm that fills the space. He reaches a small open area where the air feels slightly different, more open, though still cool and calm, and he pauses for a moment, standing still, allowing himself to be present in the quiet. And the light here is a little clearer, though still soft, and it rests gently on the ground, on the stone, on the simple shapes that surround him. After a short while, he continues, walking again, his steps as slow and even as before. And the morning continues to unfold in the same gentle way, without change, without interruption, and each moment flows into the next, one small action following another, creating a steady and unbroken rhythm. The monk does not think about what comes next. He does not need to, because everything is already known. Everything is part of the same quiet pattern, and he moves within that pattern without effort, without resistance. The corridor, the light, the air, the distant sound of the bell, all remain the same, and the calm of the monastery surrounds him completely, holding him within its steady and unchanging presence. And so the morning continues, slowly, quietly, and without any sudden movement, as the monk walks, pauses, breathes, and walks again, following the same gentle path that has begun the day in the same calm and predictable way, just as it always does, and just as it will continue to do, without hurry, without change, only the soft and steady rhythm of a simple and quiet beginning. Chapter 2: The Quiet Work of the Hand. The monk sits slowly at the wooden desk, lowering himself into the same place he has used many times before. And once he is seated, he becomes still, his back straight but relaxed, his hands resting lightly on the surface before him, and the room around him is quiet, enclosed by thick stone walls that hold the cool air and soften every sound. And the light comes not from the outside now, but from a small candle placed near the edge of the desk, its flame steady and low, giving off a soft and warm glow that does not flicker strongly, only gently, as if it too follows the slow rhythm of the day. In front of him lies a sheet of parchment, pale and smooth, and beside it a small container of ink, dark and still, and a simple quill rests within his hand, and he lifts it slowly, dipping it carefully into the ink, and the movement is small, controlled, repeated, and he brings it back to the parchment, lowering the tip with care, and begins to write. The sound is very faint, a soft scratching that comes and goes as the quill moves across the surface. And this sound repeats again and again, forming a quiet pattern that fills the space without breaking the stillness. And each letter is formed slowly, each stroke deliberate. And there is no hurry, no need to move quickly, only the steady continuation of the same simple task. He writes for a while, and then pauses, lifting the quill slightly, dipping it again into the ink, and returning to the parchment. And this pattern continues. Write, pause, dip, and write again. And each repetition feels the same, calm and even, without variation, without change. The candlelight rests softly across the desk, casting gentle shadows that do not move much. And the walls around him remain still, their surface rough and cool, holding the quiet of the room, and the air carries a faint scent of wax and parchment, subtle and constant. The monk does not look up often. His eyes remain on the page, following the lines as they form, and his hand moves in the same slow rhythm, guiding the quill across the surface. And when he finishes one line, he pauses briefly before beginning another, and this pause is as gentle as the movement itself, part of the same continuous flow. Time passes in a very quiet way, not marked by anything sudden, but by the repetition of these small actions. The movement of the hand, the dipping of the quill, the soft sound of writing, and the steady glow of the candle. and nothing interrupts this pattern. Nothing changes its pace. From time to time, he shifts slightly in his seat, a small adjustment, and then he becomes still again, returning to the same posture, the same calm position, and his breathing remains slow and even, blending with the quiet rhythm of the room. The candle continues to burn slowly, its light constant, and the shadows it casts remain soft and stable, and the stone walls do not reflect much sound, keeping everything contained within a gentle silence. And even the faint scratching of the quill feels distant, as if it belongs to the stillness rather than breaking it. The monk dips the quill again and again, and each time the motion is the same, steady and careful, and the ink flows in a quiet and controlled way, leaving its mark upon the parchment, and line after line forms, and the page slowly fills, though this change is gradual, almost unnoticeable, because the focus remains on each individual movement, each small action. Outside the room, there may be other sounds, but they are too far to disturb this space. And within these walls, the silence remains deep and unbroken. And the monk continues his work without thinking of time, without measuring how long he has been there, because the work itself becomes the measure, the repetition of the same calm pattern. Occasionally he pauses a little longer, lifting his hand and resting it lightly on the desk, and his eyes remain on the page, though he is not actively writing, and these pauses are not interruptions. They are part of the same rhythm, allowing the motion to continue without strain, and after a short while, he resumes, dipping the quill, lowering it again, and writing once more. The air remains cool, the light remains soft, the walls remain still, and everything in the room holds the same steady presence. And the monk continues, writing, pausing, dipping, writing again. And the quiet work of his hand continues without end, without change, forming a slow and hypnotic flow that carries the time forward in the same calm and predictable way. And within this stillness, nothing happens, and yet everything continues gently, steadily, and without any need for more. Chapter 3: The Quiet Closing of the Day. As the day slowly begins to fade, the light within the monastery grows softer and dimmer. Not suddenly, not sharply, but in a gradual and gentle way, as if the brightness itself is quietly stepping back, leaving behind a calm and steady stillness. And the monk lifts his hand from the page, placing the quill down with care, and for a moment he remains seated, not moving, allowing the quiet of the room to settle fully around him once more. The candle still burns, its small flame steady and low, casting a warm and gentle glow that rests softly against the stone walls. And the shadows it creates remain still, shifting only slightly in a way that is almost too slow to notice. And the monk breathes slowly, his chest rising and falling in an even rhythm that matches the calm of the space. After a short while, he stands, moving without hurry, and the slight sound of his robe brushing against itself is soft and brief, fading quickly into the quiet, and he takes a small step away from the desk, then another, his feet touching the stone floor with a steady and familiar feeling. And he walks toward the door, opening it slowly, allowing the cooler air of the corridor to meet him again. The corridor is dim now, lit only by a few small candles placed along the walls, each one giving off a gentle light that does not reach far, leaving much of the space in soft shadow. And the monk steps into this quiet passage, his movement calm and unhurried, and he begins to walk, following the same path he has taken many times before. The air feels slightly cooler than before, and the stillness of the evening is deeper, more settled, and the sound of his steps is soft, a faint echo that does not linger, and from somewhere within the monastery, a low bell begins to sound again, slow and even, marking the time for evening prayer. The monk does not react quickly. He does not change his pace. He simply continues walking, step by step, toward the place where the others will gather. And as he moves through the corridor, he passes by quiet shapes and still spaces. Everything unchanged, everything resting within the same calm presence. When he reaches the prayer hall, the light is dim and warm, filled with the soft glow of many small candles, and the air feels slightly warmer here, though still gentle and still. And other monks are already present, standing quietly, their forms still and silent. And the monk takes his place among them without a word, without any sudden movement, simply becoming part of the same quiet arrangement. The prayer begins not with a loud sound, but with a soft and steady tone. Voices low and even, rising and falling in a slow rhythm that feels almost like breathing, and the monk joins in, his voice calm, blending with the others, and the sound fills the space in a gentle and continuous way. Never sharp, never loud, only steady and soft. The words repeat again and again, and the rhythm remains the same. And time passes within this pattern. The quiet voices, the still bodies, the warm light of the candles, all held together in a calm and unbroken flow. And there is no rush, no change, only the steady continuation of the prayer. After a long while, the voices begin to fade, slowly, gently, until the sound disappears into silence once more, and the monks remain still for a brief moment, and then, one by one, they begin to leave, moving quietly, returning to their own spaces without any need for words. The monk turns and begins to walk back through the corridor, The same slow steps, the same calm pace. And the light is even dimmer now, the candles smaller, the shadows deeper, and the air feels cooler again, carrying the quiet of the night. He walks without thinking, following the familiar path, and the stillness around him feels complete, undisturbed. And when he reaches his room, he opens the door softly and steps inside, and the space greets him with the same calm it held in the morning, unchanged, steady, and quiet. He moves slowly, removing his robe and placing it aside, and then he prepares himself for rest. Each action small and gentle, and when he lies down, the bed feels familiar, the blanket light and soft, and he settles into it without any tension, without any need to adjust. The room is dark now, the light gone, and the air remains cool and still, and his breathing slows again, becoming deeper, more even, and the events of the day do not come to him in sharp detail. They do not stand apart, but instead blend together into one continuous and gentle memory. The waking, the walking, the writing, the prayer, all part of the same quiet flow. And as he closes his eyes, there is no sudden change, no clear ending, only the same calm rhythm continuing, carrying him softly into sleep as the monastery rests in silence, and the night settles in the same steady and peaceful way, without interruption, without disturbance, only the quiet presence of stillness that remains, just as it has all day, and just as it will remain through the night.